At the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, Moremi, turnover is up, volumes are up. What's happening in the market?
We continue to see some activities, and the market was, as you say, was vibrant last week. We saw activities and turnover goes up, but that was supported mainly by some activities in the two counters, TBL, where we saw foreign investors, and these were from East African portfolio investors who came to the market and supported the counter. They participated at a premium of 70% above the market price, and that was a huge transaction. But we also saw some activities on CRDB, mostly again supported by foreign portfolio investors. So those are the key counters that we saw supported the market and made it vibrant as it were. We also saw some activities in the cement counters, Simba and Twiga, and small activities on NMB as local retail investors participated in those counters.
Despite this vibrancy you speak on, the two indices are largely flat. The Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange Index and the TSI, both flat over the past week. How come?
In the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, when block transactions take place, and block here we mean any transaction above 100 Tanzanian shillings, will not be reflected in the price list, and it will not go into the computation of the index. And that's why, as I said earlier, though the foreign support on the TBL was at a premium of 7% above the market price, which actually was 2,800, and the market price is 2,620. However, that premium was not reflected in the index because of that computation on the computation of indices in the DSA.
Moremi, also talk to me about some of the more dormant counters. We're talking about counters like TOL, gases, and Precision Air. Why isn't there any significant interest in these?
Historically, these counters have been inactive counters, and mainly because of the lack of good performance in their operations and financials, especially earnings, and which is reflected on the dividend. The key reason for that is that activity and liquidity at the market is mainly driven by retail investors who, again, they are dividend driven. And since these counters have been not that much popular when it comes to dividend payments, that's the reason why we have seen that trend over the past few since the beginning of the year, for example. However, we have seen some changes that might shake up some activities in those counters in the near future. For example, TOL, last year they took some actions where they did some significant changes in its top management. They came up with a turnaround plan aiming at diversifying into the carbon dioxide and welding gases, consolidating more into its market share and all of this. And as a result of this, they think there might be some good performance in terms of earnings, in terms of dividends. And in the near future, I think sometimes next year, because on TOL we have seen the result of that turnaround strategy. Last year they made a decent profit, but this year they plan to make almost 1.2 billion of profit out of 10 years of loss making, and therefore we might start to see some activities in those counters as the company performs better. The same has been on Precision, as you said. This is a company with about 60% market share in the airline industry. Its sales and revenue growth has been commendable if you look at the financials even last year. However, they are also highly leveraged in terms of their financial, and therefore financial costs are significant, leaving little earnings to its shareholders, and so far has not paid a dividend. As a result of this, we haven't seen a lot of activities in that counter as well. The same applies to Tanzania Securities.